Hello, welcome to Daniel Vaillan's Views of Wrestling. First off, I just saw Monday Night Raw this is Monday night, 10:33 p.m., and it's November the 5th. I had to think about it first. Be honest, I got so excited after watching the first bonus feature on the Ric Flair Ultimate Collection DVD that I could not help but come on here and talk about it. Okay, but before I do that, I'm going to continue with my regular format. I always say this when I record on the cell phone app. I'm not sure how much of this can be recorded because an app had shown up and I had to close it. So I don't know if I can talk and it still be recorded while an app shows up. What I am gonna do, though, I'm gonna get on my iPad and I'm gonna look just at basketball and football. Okay, hold on for a second. Okay. Okay, about to check to see if my home state team, the New Orleans Pelicans, I'm gonna check to see if they won or lost their game tonight against the Grizzlies. No, against the Thunder. Okay. Okay, they lost by 6 points, and I actually am not upset at that because that's a 6 point game. That means that they were as defensive and as offensive as their opponents, so I'm glad about that. My sister-in-law is going to be ecstatic right now. Denver Nuggets beat the Boston Celtics by 8 points. Utah Jazz lost to the Raptors by 13 points. At the end of the second quarter, the Memphis Grizzlies and I believe the NBA champions, the Golden State Warriors, are tied at 58-58. And at halftime right now, the Timberwolves are losing by 4 points to the Clippers. So these are all great games, and I just want to say how I don't really know a lot of times what to talk about outside of the scores and everything. What I did do last time I tried to do this, I would look, and by the way, Miami Heat beat the Detroit Pistons by 5 points in the overtime. Let me just might take too long to do the play-by-play thing, so let me just look to see if there's any news. Excuse me. Okay, looks like I'm gonna have to go to Ringside News to find out anything about UFC or anything about boxing. Um, okay, let's see if there's any miscellaneous news this time about MMA or boxing. Um, November 4th, I think, was yesterday, and he said, not he, I'm sorry, Dana White said he's not sure when Lesnar versus Cormier will happen. And that was a conversation he had with the ESPN's Brett Okamoto after the UFC event this Saturday. He also mentioned that he hasn't talked to Lesnar in a while. By the way, if I mentioned any of this in my last episode, then I'm sorry, I forgot. But I want to talk about it now, and another thing I wanted to talk about, by the way, this is his exact words before I get to my next comment. This I don't remember saying, so I'm going to say this. Dana White's exact words were, "I have not talked to Brock tonight, but I haven't looked at my phone either. Brock and I haven't talked in a little while. He was doing his WWE stuff, and we will see. There is no time to." And what I was, like I told my mom earlier tonight, what I was really surprised at, seeing how often Triple H used to do this when he was wrestling every week on TV and on every pay-per-view. What I really was amazed, what was really shocked at, was how when he was thrown into the corner that Shawn Michaels was hanging from in Saudi Arabia, and he did his famous over-the-top rope deal, he tore his pectoral muscle, and then I saw the bruise. He took a picture where he showed the bruise where his pectoral muscle is. And that means that he's going to be out for a long time. That means that whatever they might have planned for him, WrestleMania, means that they're going to have to scrap that and find something new. That means that we're in the, as WWE fans, we're in the middle of a very unique situation. 2 weeks ago, Roman Reigns had to give up the Universal title because he was diagnosed with leukemia again. So that's the first thing that makes it unique. They had to scrap future plans because of that. Now that Triple H is injured and will most likely be out for 9 to 12 months or longer with a pectoral muscle injury that requires surgery, means that plan is going to be scrapped. So it's going to be really interesting these next 4 or 5 months. I'm trying to think of how long it is from WrestleMania. About, yeah, 5 months until WrestleMania gets here. 2 months before Royal Rumble, so there's a lot of things to be, there's a lot of reasons to watch, not just as a fan, but as a podcast host myself. A lot of people stopped subscribing to the WWE Network because of Saudi Arabia, and I look at it the opposite. Because of what happened in Saudi Arabia, makes me want to continue to be subscribed to it, so that, and continue to watch it, just so I can see what happens next. And I wanted to talk primarily about UFC, MMA, and boxing, and I might have to just look at fighting news for that. And I'm not really sure really what to say about some of these. I know that I should be going to the specific websites themselves, like UFC.com, just to see what the next fight night is. It's gonna be this Saturday night. It's gonna be, let's see, in a prelim, Davey the Tasmanian Devil Ramos goes against John the Machine Gunther. Tasmanian Devil is from Brazil. The Machine is from the United States. The Machine has a 7-1 record, 7 wins, 1 loss, and the Machine not only has 1 loss, but he has, I believe this is a 6% advantage in knockouts and technical knockouts over the Tasmanian Devil. However, the Tasmanian Devil has a 61% advantage over the Machine in submissions, but the Machine has a 44% advantage over him and over the Tasmanian Devil in decision. And they are an inch apart in height. The weight is the same, but their reaches are 2 inches apart, and John Gunther, the Machine, has no leg reach that they listed here. However, the Tasmanian Devil has a 37-inch reach in leg reach. So he has, in my opinion, a significant advantage here, because when you see UFC fights or MMA or Bellator MMA fights or whatever MMA fight there is out there, you see a lot of submissions. The leg reach is important because of how fighters can win with the kick. So these are all great things, and before I continue, let me check to see how long I've been recording so far. Oh. some reason on my phone I can't delete the phone optimizer app, so I'm not sure if this is even recording. Good, it's still recording. 15 minutes, 24 seconds. Okay. That's the best thing to do is just, to talk about my topic. To start, this eventually built first person that they showed Ric Flair go against in this DVD. And this, I believe, was selected by Ric Flair. Was Harley Race in 1983. And I had read earlier today that he was actually NWA heavyweight champion for 2 years before this happened. And he had dropped or lost the heavyweight title in 1983 to Harley Race, who was nicknamed Handsome Harley Race. And the first feature in the bonus edition was the $25,000 bounty promo that Harley Race cut on Ric Flair. And he said that he never thought he would need to do this, but Ric Flair had pushed him far enough, and that he was giving out $25,000 to anybody who could take Ric Flair out of wrestling. Because knowing the way that he worked and everything like that in the ring, knowing how rough he was and all that stuff, I would not say that he was scared of Ric Flair. He was just tired of dealing with him. As a matter of fact, I just told that to my uncle, who asked me why he did this in the first place. And so he was mentioning all these people like the Great Kabuki or Jack, I believe. Jack Briscoe beat Harley Race for the heavyweight title. He mentioned that, so he mentioned him. He mentioned Jack Briscoe, and he mentioned the one half of the Stud Stable back in 1995 in WCW, Dick Slater. He mentioned him, and he said, "Does anybody just take the money?" And then underneath that, they actually did book a Harley Race versus Ric Flair match. Not even sure if it was for the title or not, but it was on TV, and Randy Orton's dad, Bob Orton Jr., came out with Dick Slater, and while first Rick had to knock Dick Slater off the apron of the ring. And then when he had the figure four set up on Harley Race, Bob Orton Jr. came up the top rope and I'm trying to remember what the word is, what the actual maneuver was called. But to make sure that nothing gets in the way, I'm going to play it without the sound on so I can know for sure what was done. Hold on for a second as I get the remote. Okay, got the remote, put it on mute, press play. August 31st, 1983. I think you can watch this on the WWE Network. Ric Flair came off the top rope, hit a right hand into his stomach. Harley Race is going for his version of a headbutt, missed it. Here was Ric Flair's first attempt at the figure four. He locked it in, or about to lock it in. He heard some noise, turned around. It was Dick Slater. Picked him up on the apron, couple of hit rights and lefts, then he pulled him over the top of the rope, and then he landed. Then he fell. Turns around, got hit with a couple of left hands. We picked up Harley Race with a knee drop. Right back to the figure four. Here came Bob Orton Jr. Middle rope. That's what it was the middle rope. Right down. Probably pushed his hand against Ric Flair and they started assaulting him. What I do remember from this video is it was a move that I saw Robert Fuller and his cousin Ron Fuller use as a finisher. An aided pile driver to Ric Flair. Then he turns his neck sideways, make it look like they're injuring his neck. With a stomp on his chest. And when they believed that that's all that it was taken to put him out, they just left the ring. Then Roddy Piper came out and out in the ring next was the Chief Wahoo McDaniel checking on him. And I believe after showing him getting loaded onto a stretcher and back in the locker room, all the money and everything that was going around with the $25,000, and how he wasn't remorseful at all, supposedly. I remember about 2 days after that, after watching this the first time, I believe was when Triple H put up $70,000. Or no, I take that back. They got paid more by this time, so I believe he might have put up 120. I'm not sure how much now, but if I was to guess, I'd say about $70,000 he put on Goldberg's head, just not even to put him out of the business, just to put him on the shelf. It's really interesting how you can take things like that and just make it differently. And that just reminds me, because it is acting, it just reminds me of how it's like regular acting when you look at it in that way. How they just take from the past, but they do it differently. And too often in TV shows, you see them do the exact same thing, and that's what I find is unique about wrestling, is how they can take something, they can recycle something, but make it different, so that people won't say it's the same thing. And then Ric Flair announced in the next video how he was going to retire because of his neck being in bad shape, and then he had mentioned his real life airplane crash that he went through, how that hurt his neck and his back also, so he thought it was time for him to retire. But what really helped it was him coming out, and the bonus features they have in parentheses, it's only just begun. It was, of course, Slater. This is September 21st, 1983. Slater and Orton against, I'm not sure who it is. After hitting a vertical suplex, I believe. He was cocky at everything, as you would expect. All of a sudden, here comes Ric Flair out with a baseball bat and an old-fashioned neck brace that you just put on and put off. Said it's going after them with a baseball bat, and they ran away. And he was cutting a promo about how this problem of theirs has only just begun, and how when it's all said and done, not only would they have a match, but it would be for the world title. And he also spoke about how long he had been wrestling and how he had paid every dues there was to pay in the business. And how it would be a cold day in HE double hockey sticks when somebody tries to end his career and actually gets away with it. All of that was very believable, and actually, when I think about it, that's why I love looking at these old videos. Like I said, I wanted it to be a topic, so it's going to be week by week. I just wanted to cover the bonus features for these stories. So this is going to be, actually, so think about it, I can continue this, and finish the entire episode. I can finish this entire chapter and not even have to worry about how many minutes I did. So the next thing I want to talk about is there is a press conference they held for the first ever Starrcade event. I'm sorry, I was doing something else. And they had the pre-match interviews for Starrcade 83 with Harley Race and Ric Flair, and also Harley Race, Bob Martin Jr., and Dick Slater, and Ric Flair and Wahoo McDaniel all had pre-match interviews. And I saw the full Starrcade 83 show, and I think all this was in the pay-per-view itself, so I'm very happy to see that all this was done. All this was included in there because it was big time stuff in those days. And I remember in the post-match interviews with Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes walked up to Ric Flair and congratulated him and let him know that he wanted another shot at the heavyweight title and how he had it 2 times himself. And I believe that's the next person that he talks about in this DVD. And let me go back to the match itself. Was a big deal, and in the build that they showed Ric Flair talk about it in his DVD, and they said it was, September 23rd, 1981. I saw this last week with my uncle on the WWE Network, and they showed him in his blue robe with the NWA title, and cutting a promo on being the champion. And then they showed him talking about being champion. And they set out in those days was just territories like AWA, Vince McMahon Sr.'s company, Worldwide Wrestling Federation. And just continue talking. I don't want to play the audio for this, but I'm going to have to because I don't remember what he really said about it. So I hope y'all don't mind this, and if y'all do, just tell me next time I go live, because I'm going to be on the chat room.
I've been doing wrestling for a long, long time, and I don't know of anything that makes me any happier than the announcement we've got right now. That's right, because ladies and gentlemen, we have a new World Heavyweight Champion, and it's the man himself. Nature Boy Ric Flair. Yeah, I really am happy.
When I won the NWA Heavyweight Championship in 1981, it was the most prestigious honor in all of professional wrestling. And I think that even guys in AWA, which was the American Wrestling Association, and the WWF, which was owned by Vince McMahon Sr., would tell you that if you were the NWA champion, you were the Mecca position, the #1 position, and the most recognized professional wrestler in the world.
I paused it right there because I wanted to mention that Ric Flair said in 2001, he cut a promo about Vince McMahon's announcement of his purchase of WCW, about how he was going to hold all of them in WCW at the palm of his hands. Then, about 10-15 minutes into his promo about buying the company, his son interrupted him and said that it wasn't under his name, but it was under his son Shane's name. So Ric Flair ended up saying in his promo that Vince McMahon Sr. was one of the promoters that voted for him to win the NWA title the first time. So everything he was saying was not just opinion, but it was fact, because as political as that was also very important. I mean, to have 5 out of 9 promoters want you to represent the entire territory, or the head of the territory as their champion, that's a big deal. So I'll just continue playing this, and
Because the NWA champion traveled around the world and traveled.
Sorry. I'll just continue playing this until it gets to the point of the match, and then I'll continue talking. It was June 10th, 1983 in St. Louis, Missouri, when he lost the title, and Ric Flair lost the title to Harley Race. And this is what you're about to hear right here.
Rick, switch, goes behind. All right, Rick, suplex. All right, now watch. 1, 2, race guy. see that in slow motion. All right. Ric's hand went up on the other side. And that's what Ric is saying. That his shoulder was up too. The referee was on the record right here. Ric Flair even thinks he's the winner. That's right. He's got his hand raised.
And they said it would never happen. You just witnessed it. Rewriting wrestling history. I am the world's heavyweight champion again. 7 times around.
I've told everybody that asked me this question, a lot of people say, Rick, who's the toughest guy you ever met in your life? The list is endless of guys that were tough guys, but the toughest guy in my estimation I've ever been in the ring with, and as great a competitor as I've ever been in the ring with, is Harley Race.
In two, almost have to say the two best wrestlers in the world today. Ric Flair, Harley Race. Punch and hold, and you'll hear that all over the territory.
He believed who he was, he knew who he was, he had the most self-confidence of anybody I've ever seen, and he lived and breathed that business.
Pursuant to the bylaws of the National Wrestling Alliance and in compliance with recommendations of the Site Selection Committee, we, the Board of Directors, are proud to award to James Crockett and Mid-Atlantic Promotions, Inc., the NWA World Championship rematch between 7-time World Champion Harley Race and the #1 challenger and former World Champion Ric Flair.
Ric Flair and Harley Race, I mean, to get this match for Greensboro is just unbelievable. And we're going to call this match the Starrcade 83.
The thing that made Starrcade 83 so significant was, number one, it was the first Starrcade. I think that I'm going to call my quest for the World Heavyweight Championship of Flair for the gold. I was going to attempt to win it back for the second time. And number two was, for me, it was like really making Carolina, North Carolina, whether it be Greensboro, Charlotte, or wherever we were, making that my home. Saying that I was from North Carolina and winning the world championship in front of 17,000 people in Greensboro was a huge honor. It was huge for me because it meant that I was in the fold. I wasn't just a guy that would carry the title for 6 or 8 months and move on. I mean, it was important, you know, for me personally to be recognized with a guy like Jack Briscoe or Dory Funk or Harley or Kaniski or Terry, a guy that would carry the belt for 2 or 3 years at a time, you know. Be the champion in 6 months really wasn't making a statement. It was a huge honor, but it really wasn't making a statement as to who I was in the business. This gave me the opportunity to level again.
I'm glad I played that because he said in that interview, as you just heard, that he held the title first time for 6 months. But for some reason, they made it sound on the internet, on Wikipedia, made it sound like it was 2 years. And because of that, I'm really glad I decided to use to look at Mid-Atlantic episodes, because I'm not sure what happened between when he lost the title and then 2 years later when he got the title, or when he lost the title to Harley Race. So I'm kind of just really curious about this, and I'm gonna do my own breakdown of this match, because I'm not gonna do the breakdown yet. I'm going to talk about and I'm gonna either write down notes or I'm going to type comments about the other about what happened when he was champion the first time after beating Dusty Rhodes. The only thing I can honestly say from that time is that Ole Anderson, who was supposed to be his quote cousin in the show in the Carolinas, and was also his friend at the time, he was fussing about him, saying that he better not mess with him. And they even put him with another close friend of Ric Flair's, Roddy Piper. And that was even more interesting because of how opposite they were. So I did look at some pictures of some Mid-Atlantic videos for Ric Flair. So for the next few weeks, I'm going to be talking about just Ric Flair's promos and any possible match he might have had on Mid-Atlantic TV in those days. However, what I will say is that it was an hour time limit like they usually did on Starrcade 1983. It was an hour time limit because it was an NWA heavyweight title. I believe they went about 45 minutes and Ric Flair won the top rope crossbody, which I never saw him do before, so I was really amazed by that because this was when he was in his 20s, I believe. So, no, I'm sorry. He was 30, he was in his 30s. So this was really an interesting time to look back at. I hope that by stopping right here, just to say what happened and how he won, I just hope I'm not leaving y'all in disappointment, and I hope that y'all listen to this because this is what I really enjoy doing. Normally, if it wasn't late at night, I would watch that and talk about it. What I will do, though, is I will talk about this. I will do a play-by-play of this match tomorrow. Or, no, not tomorrow. I'll do a breakdown of this match on Periscope. So anybody who's on Periscope, please follow at Daniel Vayon so that y'all can hear me break down the match, and I'll be talking about Raw from earlier tonight. Thank y'all, and goodbye.